Maya Chen stared at the divorce papers spread across the kitchen table of their Chicago apartment. Her husband of 5 years, Daniel Ross, had already signed his name with a flourish, as if he couldn't wait to be free of her. "It's better this way," Daniel said, not even looking at her as he adjusted his tie in the hallway mirror. He was a successful tech entrepreneur, and lately, his company had been his only love. Well, his company and someone else. Maya had spent 5 years as a graphic designer, building her career while supporting Daniel's dreams. She'd attended every investor meeting, every product launch, every networking event. She'd smiled through his late nights and weekend work sessions, believing they were building a future together. But the word barren had poisoned everything. 3 years of trying, 3 years of negative pregnancy tests, 3 years of Daniel's growing resentment. The doctor said it was unexplained infertility, possibly stress-related. Daniel said it was her fault. "I need a family, Maya," he told her one night. "Sarah understands that. She wants children." Sarah Kim, his vice president of marketing. The woman with the perfect smile and the ambitious gleam in her eye. Maya had watched them at the last company party, standing too close, laughing too loudly. Now, as rain hammered against the windows, Maya picked up the pen. Her hand trembled slightly as she signed her name. Just like that, 5 years dissolved into nothing. "I'll have my lawyer send the settlement papers," Daniel said, grabbing his briefcase. "You'll be fine. The apartment's paid for 6 months. That should give you time to figure things out." Figure things out. As if she were a problem to be solved and discarded. The door closed behind him with a soft click that echoed like thunder. Maya sat in the silence, one hand unconsciously resting on her stomach. She didn't know yet. Didn't know that 3 tiny hearts were already beating inside her. Didn't know that her entire world was about to change in ways Daniel could never imagine. Outside, lightning split the sky, illuminating the divorce papers one final time. Tomorrow, she had an appointment with her doctor for what she thought was just stress-related symptoms. Tomorrow, everything would be different. But tonight, Maya Chun allowed herself one moment of grief for the marriage that had died. Then she stood up, walked to the window, and watched the storm rage. Something inside her felt different, stronger, like she was standing on the edge of something vast and powerful. She just didn't know what yet. If you're enjoying this story of betrayal and redemption, hit that like button and subscribe for the next chapter. Drop a comment below telling me what you think Maya should do next. Will she tell Daniel about the babies? How will she handle her new fortune? Find out in chapter. 3 weeks after signing the divorce papers, Maya sat in Dr. Patricia Wilson's office, waiting for test results. She'd been feeling exhausted, nauseous, and emotionally overwhelmed, which she'd attributed to the divorce. But Dr. Wilson had insisted on running some tests. "Maya," Dr. Wilson said, returning to the examination room with a folder and an expression Maya couldn't quite read. "I have some surprising news." Maya's heart raced. "Is something wrong?" "Wrong? No. Unexpected? Absolutely." Dr. Wilson smiled warmly. "You're pregnant. About 8 weeks along. And," she paused, pulling up an ultrasound image on her computer screen, "you're carrying triplets." The world tilted. Maya gripped the edge of the examination table, staring at the screen where 3 tiny forms flickered with heartbeats. 1, 2, 3. That's impossible," she whispered. "We tried for years. Daniel said I was." "Stress can affect fertility significantly," Dr. Wilson explained gently. "Sometimes when the stress is removed, even through something difficult like a divorce, the body responds. It's rare with triplets, but it happens." Maya couldn't speak. Tears streamed down her face as she watched those 3 little hearts beating in perfect rhythm. The babies Daniel had wanted so desperately. The family he divorced her for, growing inside her all along. "What do you want to do?" Dr. Wilson asked carefully. Maya's jaw set with determination. "I'm keeping them. All 3. And I'm not telling him." Dr. Wilson nodded slowly. "That's your choice to make. You'll need excellent prenatal care, especially with triplets. Can you afford?" "I can," Maya interrupted, thinking of the letter that had arrived just yesterday. Her uncle Thomas Chun, The reclusive billionaire she'd met only twice in her life had passed away. She'd gone to the will reading more out of obligation than expectation. The memory was still surreal. The lawyer's office in downtown Chicago, the mahogany table, the manila envelope with her name on it. To my niece, Maya Chun, I leave controlling shares of Chun Technologies and associated assets, valued at approximately $100 million. The room had fallen silent. Distant relatives who'd ignored her existence suddenly stared with undisguised interest. Her aunt had actually gasped. Maya had inherited a tech empire worth $100 million. The same week, Daniel divorced her for being worthless. Now, sitting in the doctor's office with ultrasound images of her 3 babies, Maya felt something shift inside her. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about building something new. "I'll need a new name," she said suddenly. Dr. Wilson blinked. "Excuse me? A fresh start. My maiden name was Lee. I'll use that again. Maya Lee." She looked at the ultrasound images, then at Dr. Wilson. These babies deserve to grow up away from all this drama. Away from Daniel and his new wife. "I'm going to disappear, rebuild my life, and when I come back, I'll be someone no one recognizes." "That's quite a plan," Dr. Wilson said carefully. Maya smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I've spent 5 years being who Daniel wanted me to be. Quiet, supportive, invisible. Not anymore." She left the doctor's office with 3 ultrasound photos tucked carefully in her purse and a plan forming in her mind. Daniel thought he'd discarded a barren, worthless wife. He had no idea he'd just created his own worst nightmare. In the parking lot, Maya sat in her car and pulled out her phone. She found Daniel's Instagram. He'd already changed his relationship status to in a relationship with Sarah Kim. There was even a photo from last night. Daniel on one knee, Sarah with her hand over her mouth, a diamond ring glittering in the restaurant lighting. Maya studied the photo for a long moment, then closed the app. Let them have their moment. Let them think they'd won. Because Maya Chun, Maya Lee now, was playing a completely different game. And she was just getting started. 6 months later, Maya stood in front of floor-to-ceiling windows in her new penthouse overlooking Lake Michigan. The view was breathtaking, but it wasn't what held her attention. It was her reflection. Gone was the tired, defeated woman who'd signed those divorce papers. In her place stood Maya Lee, elegant and composed, her pregnancy just beginning to show beneath her tailored designer clothes. She'd spent the past months quietly taking control of Chun Technologies, learning the business from trusted advisors her uncle had left behind. Ms. Lee, her new assistant, Jennifer Park, knocked softly before entering. "The board meeting is in an hour. Your car is ready." "Thank you, Jennifer." Maya turned from the window, her expression calm and controlled. She'd learned that power wasn't about being loud or aggressive. It was about knowing more than everyone else in the room and never showing your hand too early. The board meeting was her first major appearance as the company's new majority shareholder. Chun Technologies specialized in cybersecurity software, a market currently worth billions. Under her uncle's leadership, the company had been profitable but conservative. Maya had different plans. She arrived at the downtown office building where Chun Technologies was headquartered. The lobby was all glass and steel, modern and imposing. Executives and employees nodded respectfully as she passed, though she caught their curious glances. The pregnant woman who'd inherited a tech empire was still a mystery to most of them. In the boardroom, 12 people stood as she entered. All men, all over 50, all clearly uncertain about the young woman who now controlled their futures. "Gentlemen," Maya said, taking her seat at the head of the table. "Let's begin." For the next hour, she listened to their reports, their concerns, their carefully worded suggestions that perhaps she should consider a more experienced CEO to run the company. She let them talk, nodding occasionally, asking precise questions that revealed she'd done her homework. Finally, Richard Morrison, the most senior board member, leaned forward. "Ms. Lee, with all due respect, Chun Technologies requires steady, experienced leadership. Perhaps you'd consider appointing." "I've reviewed every acquisition proposal from the last 3 years," Maya interrupted smoothly. Do you know how many opportunities we've missed because this board was too conservative? 17 major contracts, 8 potential partnerships, and one particular opportunity that I've already begun pursuing. She pulled up a presentation on the screen behind her. Vault Secure, a startup developing next-generation encryption for financial institutions. They're looking for acquisition or partnership. Their technology could revolutionize our entire product line. We reviewed Vault Secure last year. Morrison said dismissively. Too risky. Too expensive. They were asking $12 million. I've negotiated them down to $8 million plus stock options. The deal closes next week. Maya's smile was cold. Gentlemen, you work for me now. I'm not here to maintain what my uncle built. I'm here to expand it. The room fell silent. She could see them recalculating, reassessing the young pregnant woman they'd assumed would be easy to manage. Now, Maya continued, let's discuss the real reason I called this meeting. I want to expand into the consumer market. Small business cybersecurity. Home security systems. The market's there, and we're going to own it. By the time the meeting ended 2 hours later, the board members filed out quietly, their assumptions shattered. Maya remained seated, one hand resting on her growing belly, where her triplets were becoming more active each day. That went well, Jennifer said after everyone had left. They'll push back, Maya replied. But they'll learn. This company is mine now, and I intend to build something that will last for my children. That evening, Maya attended a charity gala for tech entrepreneurs, her first public appearance in Chicago's business community. She wore a midnight blue gown that elegantly accommodated her pregnancy, her hair styled in a sophisticated updo, diamond earrings catching the light. She was standing by the champagne fountain, sipping sparkling water, when she heard a familiar laugh. Her heart stopped. Daniel. He stood across the room, Sarah on his arm, both of them dressed to impress. They were surrounded by a small crowd, Daniel clearly networking with potential investors. He looked happy, successful, completely oblivious to the storm that was about to enter his life. Maya watched them for a long moment, then deliberately turned away. Not yet. Not tonight. But soon, Daniel Ross would discover exactly what he'd thrown away. And by then, it would be far too late to get it back. The Chicago Tech Innovation Gala was in full swing, with hundreds of entrepreneurs, investors, and industry leaders filling the grand ballroom. Maya had deliberately positioned herself near the main entrance, knowing that eventually, Daniel would have to see her. She didn't have to wait long. Maya, the voice came from behind her, shocked and uncertain. She turned slowly, schooling her features into polite surprise. Daniel, hello. He stood frozen, his eyes dropping to her visible pregnancy, then back to her face, then to the pregnancy again. Sarah stood beside him, her smile faltering as she registered the designer gown, the diamond jewelry, the quiet confidence radiating from the woman she'd helped destroy. You're pregnant, Daniel stammered. Very observant, Maya replied coolly. Congratulations on your engagement, by the way. I saw it on social media. Sarah recovered first, her smile sharpening into something predatory. Thank you. We're very happy. I see you've moved on as well. Anyone we know? Maya sipped her sparkling water, letting the question hang. I'm here representing Chin Technologies. Perhaps you've heard of it. Daniel's eyes widened. Chin Technologies? The cybersecurity company? That's a $100 million company, yes. My late uncle left it to me. I'm the majority shareholder and acting CEO. She paused, watching his face pale. Life has a funny way of working out, doesn't it? I had no idea, Daniel said weakly. Of course you didn't. You were too busy divorcing me to notice my uncle had passed away. The will was read the same week you signed our papers. Actually, Maya's smile didn't reach her eyes. Quite the timing. Sarah's grip tightened on Daniel's arm. Well, money can't buy everything. Can it, Maya? No, Maya agreed softly. But it can buy excellent medical care. The best doctors. Private hospitals. Everything 3 babies might need. The color drained from Daniel's face completely. 3, did you say 3? Triplets. All healthy, all growing perfectly. Due in 3 months. She tilted her head, her expression innocent. Isn't it miraculous? All those years you said I was barren, And here I am, carrying 3 children. The doctors say stress was the problem. Once I removed the source of stress, she let her gaze linger on Daniel meaningfully. Everything just worked out. Daniel opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. When did you conceive? About 8 weeks before you served me divorce papers. I found out 3 weeks after we signed them. Maya's voice remained calm, conversational, as if discussing the weather. Funny story, actually. You divorced your barren wife, and she turned out to be pregnant with triplets and worth $100 million. All in the same month. Sarah's face had gone from smug to stricken. Daniel, we should. So those babies are mine. Daniel interrupted, his voice hoarse. Maya's expression hardened. No, Daniel. These babies are mine. You made it very clear you wanted nothing to do with a wife who couldn't give you children. Well, congratulations. You got exactly what you wanted. A divorce. But if they're mine, I have rights. You have whatever rights my lawyer says you have. Maya cut him off, her voice dropping to ice. And given that you divorced me specifically because you believed I was infertile, citing my failure to produce children in your very thorough list of complaints, I think any judge would be very interested in your sudden paternal instincts. A small crowd had gathered, pretending not to listen while hanging on every word. Maya noticed them and smiled slightly. Let them hear. Let them all hear how Daniel Ross divorced his pregnant wife. You should have told me, Daniel said desperately. If you had known what? You would have stayed? Would you have canceled your engagement? Maya glanced at Sarah, who looked like she wanted to disappear. Somehow I doubt that. You made your choice, Daniel. You chose Sarah. You chose freedom from your barren wife. You chose wrong. Maya, please. Ms. Lee, she corrected sharply. I've gone back to my maiden name. I don't carry your name anymore, and neither will my children. She set down her glass on a passing waiter's tray and smoothed her gown. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have investors to meet. People who understand the value of loyalty and commitment. Concepts you might want to research. Maya walked away, her head high, leaving Daniel and Sarah standing in the middle of the ballroom with dozens of eyes on them. She could hear the whispers starting already, the shocked murmurs spreading through the crowd like wildfire. By tomorrow, everyone in Chicago's tech scene would know the story. Daniel Ross, the up-and-coming entrepreneur, had divorced his wife right before she inherited $100 million and discovered she was pregnant with triplets. In the bathroom, Maya finally allowed herself to breathe. Her hands shook slightly as she braced herself against the marble counter. The confrontation had gone exactly as planned, but that didn't make it easy. Jennifer appeared in the doorway. Ms. Lee, are you all right? I'm fine, Maya said, straightening. Just needed a moment. Everyone's talking about what just happened. The press is going crazy. Do you want me to? Let them talk, Maya said firmly. Truth is the best weapon, and I've got nothing but truth on my side. She looked at her reflection in the gilded mirror. The same woman who'd once signed divorce papers in tears now stood dressed in designer clothes, carrying 3 babies and commanding the attention of an entire industry. The transformation was complete. Maya Chin was gone. In her place stood Maya Lee, and she was just getting started. The media firestorm after the gala was immediate and brutal for Daniel. By morning, #PregnantAndRich was trending on social media. Business bloggers had dug up every detail. The divorce filing citing Maya's inability to conceive, the engagement to Sarah just weeks later, and now the revelation that Maya had been pregnant all along and had inherited a fortune. Maya sat in her penthouse, reading the headlines with quiet satisfaction while her assistant compiled a media report. Business Insider is calling it the divorce of the decade, Jennifer said, scrolling through her tablet. Forbes wants an exclusive interview. So does Fortune, and about 30 other publications. Decline them all, Maya said calmly. I'm not doing interviews. My work will speak for itself. There's something else. Jennifer hesitated. Daniel's been calling. He's left 14 messages. Delete them. His lawyer sent a letter. He's requesting paternity tests and joint custody discussions. Maya set down her coffee cup with careful precision. Forward it to Marcus Donovan. Marcus Donovan was the most feared family law attorney in Chicago. Maya had retained him the day after the gala, knowing Daniel would eventually try this. Marcus had actually laughed when she explained the situation. A man divorces his wife, claiming she's infertile, then finds out she's pregnant with triplets, and he wants custody. Marcus had said, "This is going to be fun." Now, 3 weeks after the gala, Maya focused on what mattered, building her empire. The Vault Secure acquisition had closed successfully, and Shin Technology stock had jumped 15%. She'd hired 3 new executives, all women, all brilliant, and launched the consumer division she'd proposed to the board. But her most strategic move was about to begin. She'd learned that Daniel's company, Rostech Solutions, was struggling. His big investor had pulled out after the scandal, and he'd lost 2 major contracts when clients didn't want to be associated with the negative publicity. He needed capital fast. Maya intended to provide it. On her terms. Set up a meeting with Daniel, she told Jennifer. Somewhere public. The Lighthouse Cafe, Wednesday at 2. Jennifer's eyes widened. Are you sure? Completely sure. It's time for Phase 2. Wednesday arrived with gray skies and cold wind off Lake Michigan. Maya arrived at the cafe exactly on time, her pregnancy now unmistakable at 7 months. She'd chosen a simple but elegant maternity dress and minimal jewelry. She wanted Daniel to see exactly what he'd thrown away. He was already there, looking haggard. Dark circles shadowed his eyes, and his usually impeccable suit looked rumpled. The confident entrepreneur from the gala had been replaced by someone who looked desperate. Maya, he stood as she approached. Thank you for agreeing to meet. Ms. Lee, she corrected, sitting down carefully. And I'm here to discuss business, not personal matters. Right, business. He sat back down, fidgeting with his coffee cup. I assume you've heard about Rostech's situation. I'm aware your primary investor withdrew. I'm also aware you've missed payroll twice and have 30 days to repay a bridge loan or lose your company. Daniel flinched. I can turn it around. I just need time and capital. You need $5 million in the next 3 weeks, Maya said bluntly. You've approached 7 different investors. All of them passed. How do you? I know everything, Daniel. That's what power buys. Information. She leaned back, one hand resting on her belly where one of the babies was kicking. I'm here to make you an offer. Hope flared in his eyes. You'll invest. I'll acquire. Shin Technologies will purchase Rostech Solutions for $3 million, assuming all debts. You'll step down as CEO, but remain as a consultant for 2 years at a reduced salary. Your employees keep their jobs. Your technology gets absorbed into our security division. The hope died. That's not enough. The company's worth at least $8 million. Was worth $8 million. Now it's worth whatever I say it's worth, because I'm the only person offering. Maya's voice was matter of fact. You have 24 hours to decide. After that, the offer drops to $2 million. You're punishing me, Daniel said bitterly. I'm doing business, Maya corrected. Personal feelings don't factor into this. Rostech has good technology and talented people. Shin Technologies can utilize both. Whether you accept is irrelevant to me personally. Is it? Or is this about revenge? Maya stood carefully, smoothing her dress. Daniel, if I wanted revenge, I'd let you lose everything. Instead, I'm offering you a lifeline. Your employees keep their jobs. Your technology survives. You even get to stay involved. The only thing you lose is control. She paused. Consider it practice. After all, you'll need to get comfortable with not being in control once the babies arrive. About that, Daniel said quickly, I know I made mistakes, but those are my children. I want to be involved. I want custody. You'll get exactly what the court decides you deserve, Maya interrupted. Which, given you divorced me specifically because you thought I couldn't have children, probably won't be much. My lawyer is very good at his job. She picked up her bag. 24 hours, Daniel. After that, the offer expires, and you can explain to your employees why their CEO's pride was more important than their livelihoods. Maya left him sitting there, stunned and defeated. Outside, she climbed into her waiting car, her expression never changing until the door closed. Only then did she allow herself a small, satisfied smile. Jennifer was waiting with updates. The board approved the acquisition budget. Marcus called. He's filed a response to Daniel's custody request. And there's news about Sarah Kim. Oh, she broke off the engagement. Moved out of Daniel's apartment 3 days ago. Apparently, she didn't sign up for baby mama drama with a woman worth $100 million. Maya absorbed this information without visible reaction. So Daniel loses his company, his fiancée, and any hope of controlling the situation. All in a month. You've destroyed him, Jennifer said quietly. No, Maya corrected, looking out at the Chicago skyline. He destroyed himself. I just stopped letting him destroy me in the process. That night, as Maya felt her 3 babies moving inside her, she thought about the woman she'd been 6 months ago. Broken, defeated, worthless, or so Daniel had made her feel. Now she was building an empire, not out of revenge, but out of necessity. These 3 children needed a mother who was strong enough to protect them from a world that would try to take everything from them. And Maya Lee was exactly that mother. 3 weeks later, Maya went into early labor. At 34 weeks, the triplets decided they were ready to meet the world, and nothing could stop them. Jennifer found her in the Chun Technologies office, clutching her desk, her face pale with pain. Hospital. Now, Maya gasped. The next 12 hours were a blur of hospital corridors, medical teams, and crushing pain. Maya had taken childbirth classes, read all the books, prepared mentally. Nothing prepared her for the reality of bringing 3 human beings into the world. You're doing great, Ms. Lee, Dr. Wilson encouraged. First baby is almost here. At 3:47 a.m., Maya heard the first cry. A girl. At 3:52 a.m., another cry. A boy. At 3:58 a.m., the final baby arrived. Another boy. Maya collapsed back against the pillows, exhausted beyond anything she'd ever experienced. But when they placed the first baby in her arms, tiny, red-faced, perfect, she felt something inside her break open. Hello, Lily, she whispered to her daughter. Then to her sons, hello, James. Hello, Ryan. Lily, James, and Ryan Lee. Her 3 miracles. The children Daniel had told her she'd never have. The nurse was filling out birth certificates when she asked the routine question. Father's name? Maya looked at her 3 babies, sleeping now in their warming beds. She thought about Daniel's desperate calls, his lawyer's demands, his sudden interest in fatherhood once he realized what he'd lost. Leave it blank, Maya said quietly. Are you sure? You can always. I'm sure. Father unknown. It wasn't entirely legal, given Daniel's paternity rights. But Maya's lawyer had already prepared for this. Daniel would have to prove paternity, then fight for whatever rights the court granted. And given the circumstances of their divorce, Marcus was confident Daniel would be lucky to get supervised visitation. By morning, the news had spread. Somehow, Jennifer suspected a nurse sold the story. Media outlets knew that Maya Lee had given birth to triplets. The speculation was immediate. Were they Daniel's children? Would there be a custody battle? How would this affect Chun Technologies? Maya's hospital room became a fortress. Security guards stood outside, screening all visitors. She'd made it clear. No press, no Daniel. No one except her small circle of trusted people. On her second day in the hospital, Jennifer arrived with troubling news. Daniel's outside, she said quietly. He's demanding to see you and the babies. Hospital security is holding him, but he's threatening legal action. Maya looked at her 3 sleeping infants. Lily in a pink blanket, James and Ryan in blue. They were so small, so vulnerable. The fierce protectiveness she felt was overwhelming. Tell security to escort him out. If he returns, have him arrested for trespassing. He's claiming parental rights. He has no rights until a court says he does. And even then, he has no right to disrupt my recovery or distress my children. Maya's voice was steel. Get Marcus on the phone. I want a restraining order filed today. Jennifer nodded and left. Maya turned back to her babies, gently touching each tiny hand. They gripped her fingers with surprising strength. I won't let anyone hurt you, she whispered. Not him. Not anyone. The door opened again, and Maya tensed, but it was only Dr. Wilson. How are we feeling? The doctor asked, checking Maya's vitals. Tired. Sore. Overwhelmed. Maya smiled faintly. but happy. Really happy. That's good. Your recovery is progressing well, and the babies are all healthy. We'll probably release you in another 2 days. Dr. Wilson hesitated. I heard about the incident downstairs. Daniel, Maya said flatly. For what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. Those babies need stability and peace, not drama. Dr. Wilson smiled. You're stronger than you know, Maya. After the doctor left, Maya sat alone with her thoughts and her children. Through the hospital window, she could see Chicago stretching out in all directions. Millions of people living their lives, chasing their dreams, fighting their battles. Somewhere out there, Daniel was probably plotting his next move. Sarah was probably telling anyone who would listen her side of the story. The media was crafting narratives, and the public was choosing sides. But here, in this quiet room, none of that mattered. Here were 3 tiny humans who depended entirely on her. 3 lives she had to protect, nurture, and guide. The woman who'd signed divorce papers in tears 7 months ago seemed like a stranger now. That Maya had been broken, defeated, lost. This Maya was a mother, and mothers, she was learning, were made of something stronger than steel. Her phone buzzed. A message from Marcus, restraining order filed and approved. Ross must stay 500 feet away from you and the children pending paternity proceedings. Well done, Maya. Get some rest. Maya set down the phone and closed her eyes, listening to the soft breathing of her triplets. She'd won this round, but the war was far from over. Daniel wouldn't give up easily. Neither would the media. The court battles would be ugly, expensive, and public. But Maya was ready. She'd been preparing for this since the night she found out she was pregnant. Every chess piece was in position. Every strategy mapped out. Daniel thought he knew what he was dealing with. A quiet, defeated ex-wife who happened to inherit some money. He had no idea he was facing a mother protecting her children. And that, Maya thought with grim satisfaction, was the most dangerous thing in the world. 3 months after the triplets' birth, Maya sat in a Chicago courthouse, her lawyer Marcus Donovan beside her, preparing for the custody hearing that would determine Daniel's rights to see their children. Across the aisle, Daniel sat with his own lawyer, looking more put together than he had in months. He'd sold Ross Tech to Chin Technologies, accepting Maya's revised offer of just $2 million, and was now working as a consultant. The media had portrayed him as the wronged father, shut out of his children's lives by a vindictive ex-wife. Maya knew better. The truth always came out eventually. Remember, Marcus whispered, stay calm. Don't let him provoke you. We have everything we need. The judge, Honorable Patricia Martinez, entered and everyone stood. Judge Martinez was known for being fair but tough, especially in cases involving children. This is the matter of custody and visitation rights concerning the triplets Lily, James, and Ryan Lee. Judge Martinez began. Mr. Ross is seeking joint custody and unsupervised visitation. Ms. Lee is opposing. Let's begin with opening statements. Daniel's lawyer, Robert Chun, stood first. Your Honor, my client Daniel Ross is a successful entrepreneur who wants nothing more than to be a father to his biological children. Despite Ms. Lee's attempts to exclude him from their lives, including leaving his name off the birth certificates, DNA tests confirm he is the biological father. He has a right to be in their lives. Marcus stood, his expression calm. Your Honor, what Mr. Chin fails to mention is that Mr. Ross divorced Ms. Lee specifically because he believed she couldn't have children. In fact, he cited her inability to conceive in the divorce petition. He then immediately became engaged to another woman. He only became interested in these children after discovering Ms. Lee had inherited significant wealth. This isn't about fatherhood. It's about control and financial interest. That's absurd, Daniel started, but his lawyer quieted him. Judge Martinez raised her hand. Mr. Ross, you'll have your chance to speak. Mr. Donovan, present your evidence. What followed was 3 hours of testimony and evidence that painted a damning picture. Marcus presented the divorce petition where Daniel explicitly blamed Maya for their inability to have children. He showed social media posts of Daniel celebrating his engagement to Sarah mere weeks after the divorce. He demonstrated that Daniel had made no attempt to contact Maya during her pregnancy, despite knowing she was pregnant. Most damaging of all, Marcus played a recording from a business meeting where Daniel, not knowing he was being recorded, discussed his custody plans with a colleague. "If I can get joint custody, I'll have access to her inheritance through child support," Daniel's voice came through the speakers. "Plus, it'll look better for Rostec if I'm seen as a family man." The optics matter in this industry. The courtroom fell silent. Even Daniel's lawyer looked shocked. Judge Martinez's expression hardened. "Is this recording authenticated?" "Yes, Your Honor," Marcus said. "Recorded at a business lunch 3 weeks ago. We have 2 witnesses who were present and can verify its authenticity." Daniel's face had gone white. His lawyer whispered urgently in his ear, but the damage was done. When it was Maya's turn to testify, she spoke clearly and calmly about the divorce, the pregnancy discovery, and her decision to protect her children from instability. "I'm not keeping him from the children out of spite," Maya said, looking directly at the judge. "I'm protecting them from someone who only sees them as financial assets or public relations tools. These are human beings, not bargaining chips." Daniel took the stand next, and under Marcus's cross-examination, he fell apart. "Mr. Ross, you divorced your wife because she couldn't give you children, correct?" "That was part of it, yes, but..." "And immediately after the divorce, you proposed to another woman?" "I had moved on, yes." "So you moved on from a woman you believed was barren. Then you discovered she was pregnant with your children and inherited $100 million. Is that when you suddenly became interested in fatherhood?" "I have a right to know my children." "Did you have that right when you divorced their mother while she was pregnant? When you called her worthless? When you publicly humiliated her at charity events?" "I didn't know she was pregnant." "Because you were too busy planning your new life to notice," Marcus said coldly. No further questions. When Judge Martinez delivered her ruling an hour later, Maya felt 3 months of tension finally release. After reviewing all evidence and testimony, the judge said, "I find that Mr. Ross's interest in these children appears financially motivated rather than genuinely parental. However, I cannot deny biological parental rights entirely. Therefore, I'm granting Mr. Ross supervised visitation only 2 hours per week to be conducted at a neutral location with a court-appointed supervisor present. This arrangement will be reviewed in 1 year. Ms. Lee retains full legal and physical custody." Daniel stood abruptly. "That's not fair. They're my children." "Mr. Ross," Judge Martinez said sternly, "you made your choices when you divorced your wife. You don't get to undo those choices now that circumstances have changed. If you want more involvement in these children's lives, I suggest you spend the next year proving you're interested in them as people, not as assets." This hearing is adjourned. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Maya ignored them, climbing into her waiting car with Marcus. "You did well in there," he said. "He's going to appeal. Let him. We'll win again." Marcus smiled. "Maya, you've protected your children. That's what matters." That evening, Maya sat in the nursery of her penthouse, watching her 3 babies sleep. Lily clutched a small stuffed rabbit. James sucked on his thumb. Ryan slept spread eagle, taking up as much space as possible despite being only 3 months old. They were safe, protected. Hers. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This isn't over. Daniel." Of course. Maya deleted the message without responding. She'd learned that silence was often the most powerful response. Tomorrow, Chun Technologies was launching its new consumer security line. Next week, she had meetings with 3 major investors about expansion into European markets. In a month, the triplets would have their 4-month checkup. Life moved forward. The past couldn't be changed, but the future was hers to build. And she was building something remarkable. 6 months after the custody hearing, Maya's life had found a rhythm. The triplets were thriving. Lily was already trying to crawl, James was the quiet observer, and Ryan laughed at everything. Chin Technologies had expanded into 3 new markets, and Maya had earned grudging respect from the tech industry as a legitimate CEO, not just an heiress. But Daniel hadn't given up. His supervised visits were awkward tense affairs where he sat in a sterile room at a family services center, trying to connect with babies who didn't know him. The supervisor's reports noted that Daniel spent most of the time on his phone, checking work emails while the children played. Then Sarah Kim reappeared. Maya first learned about it from a tabloid headline. Daniel Ross and Sarah Kim. Back together? The photos show them at a restaurant, looking cozy. Interesting timing. Marcus noted when Maya forwarded him the article. Right before the custody review hearing. He thinks getting back together with Sarah will make him look stable, Maya said. Show the judge he has a traditional family structure to offer. Will it work? Not if I have anything to say about it. The charity gala season arrived again, and Maya found herself attending the same event where, a year ago, Daniel had humiliated her with Olivia. No, Sarah. She still occasionally mixed up the name, though it didn't matter. Sarah was just another person who'd underestimated her. This year, Maya arrived differently. She wore a stunning emerald gown, her post-baby body toned from months of working with a personal trainer. Her 3 children were at home with a trusted nanny, and she was accompanied by James Park, a brilliant software engineer who'd become her friend and occasional date, though their relationship was purely platonic. The entrance caused a stir. Cameras flashed. People whispered. And across the ballroom, Maya saw Daniel and Sarah standing together, their smiles freezing when they saw her. Ready for this? James asked quietly. I was born ready, Maya replied. She worked the room like the CEO she'd become, discussing business, making connections, and carefully avoiding Daniel. Let him come to her. Let him make the first move. It took an hour. Maya. Daniel's voice came from behind her. Can we talk? Privately. She turned, her expression neutral. Sarah stood beside him, her smile brittle. Anything you need to say can be said here, Maya replied. It's about the children. I want to propose a new arrangement. You mean the arrangement where you actually show up for them instead of spending your supervised visits on your phone? Maya interrupted. I've read the supervisor's reports, Daniel. You're not interested in being a father. You're interested in winning. That's not fair. I'm trying. You're trying to manipulate the system, Maya said flatly. Just like you're trying to manipulate the optics by getting back together with Sarah. She glanced at Sarah. How does it feel, by the way, being used as a prop in someone else's custody battle? Sarah's smile vanished. Excuse me. Oh, you didn't realize? Maya tilted her head. Daniel doesn't want you. He wants what you represent. Stability. Traditional family values. Something to show the judge at the review hearing. That's ridiculous, Daniel said, but his voice lacked conviction. Is it? Tell me, Sarah, when did he first contact you about getting back together? Sarah hesitated, her eyes flickering to Daniel. Let me guess, Maya continued. About 2 weeks after the custody hearing, right around when his lawyer told him the judge wasn't impressed by a single man playing at fatherhood. The silence confirmed everything. Sarah stepped away from Daniel, her expression crumbling. Is that true? Are you just using me? Sarah, don't listen to her. Answer the question, Daniel, Sarah demanded. He looked between them, trapped. The small crowd that had gathered was watching with undisguised interest. I care about you, Daniel said finally. But yes, I thought it would help with the custody situation. Sarah's laugh was bitter. I can't believe I fell for this again. Fell for you again. She looked at Maya. You know what? You win. You've always won. Because you're not a liar. She walked away, leaving Daniel standing alone in the middle of the ballroom. Maya felt no triumph, just exhaustion. This has to stop, she said quietly to Daniel. This obsession with controlling a situation you can't control. Those children are happy. They're healthy. They're loved. What more do you want? I want to be their father, Daniel said, his voice breaking slightly. Then be their father. Actually show up for them. Put away your phone during visits. Learn their personalities. Stop treating them like trophies you lost and want back. Maya's voice softened slightly. They deserve better than this, Daniel. And so do you. She turned to leave, then paused. The custody review is in 3 weeks. If you want the judge to give you more time with them, stop playing games and start being genuine. Otherwise, you'll lose them completely. Maya walked away, leaving Daniel alone with his thoughts and the whispers of Chicago's elite. Outside, she climbed into her car and allowed herself a moment of weariness. James sat beside her, quiet and supportive. "You handled that well," he said. "Did I? Sometimes I wonder if I'm being the bigger person or just perpetuating a cycle of pain." "You're protecting your children. There's nothing wrong with that." Maya looked out at the Chicago skyline, the same view she'd watched from her apartment the night Daniel served her divorce papers. How much had changed? How much she'd changed? "I don't want them to grow up knowing their parents hate each other," she said softly. "But I also won't let anyone hurt them, not even their father." "That's what makes you a good mother," James said. Maya smiled faintly. Maybe he was right. Maybe all she could do was keep moving forward, keep protecting her children, and hope that eventually Daniel would either step up or step away. 3 weeks later, at the custody review hearing, Daniel arrived alone. No Sarah, no expensive lawyers, just him and a court-appointed attorney. "Your Honor," he said when it was his turn to speak, "I've spent the last 6 months trying to win a game I shouldn't have been playing. I divorced my wife for the wrong reasons. I sought custody for the wrong reasons. And I've treated my children like prizes instead of people." Judge Martinez listened impassively. "I'm asking for more time with them," Daniel continued. "Not because I deserve it, but because I want the chance to be the father I should have been from the start. I've enrolled in parenting classes. I've started therapy. And I promise, if you give me this chance, I won't waste it." Maya watched him carefully. The performance was good. But was it genuine? Judge Martinez ruled that Daniel could increase his visits to 4 hours per week, still supervised, with the potential for unsupervised visits after 6 months of consistent, engaged participation. "Mr. Ross," the judge said sternly, "this is your last chance. If you waste it, I won't be so generous again." Outside the courthouse, Daniel approached Maya cautiously. "Thank you," he said, "for not fighting it." "I didn't do it for you," Maya replied. "I did it for them. Every child deserves a chance to know their father. If you're serious about this, actually be their father. If you're not, then do us all a favor and disappear." "I'm serious," Daniel said. "I know I've been terrible. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But those kids, they're everything I thought I wanted but was too stupid to see when I had it." Maya studied him for a long moment. "Then prove it. Not to me. To them." She walked away, but this time without anger. Just hope. Hope that maybe, finally, Daniel would become the father her children deserved. And if he didn't, well, she'd proven she could handle anything life threw at her. 1 year after the triplets' birth, Chen Technologies received an offer that would change everything. A merger proposal from Sterling Global, a multinational tech conglomerate worth over $5 billion. The deal would make Maya one of the most powerful women in the technology sector. It would also require her to relocate to San Francisco for at least 2 years. Maya sat in her office, staring at the proposal, her mind racing. This was everything she'd worked for. The opportunity to expand Chen Technologies beyond her wildest dreams. The chance to build something that would secure her children's futures for generations. But it would mean uprooting her life, leaving Chicago, and potentially disrupting the tentative relationship Daniel had been building with the triplets. Over the past 6 months, Daniel had actually followed through on his promises. He attended every supervised visit sober, engaged, and present. He'd learned Lily's favorite songs, James's quiet mannerisms, and Ryan's infectious laugh. The supervisor's reports were glowing. He was genuinely trying. The custody arrangement had been modified 2 months ago to allow unsupervised visits, 4 hours every Saturday. Daniel took them to parks, read them stories, and FaceTimed Maya to share their milestones. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. And now Maya was considering taking them across the country. "What are you thinking?" Jennifer asked, noticing Maya's troubled expression. "I'm thinking this is the opportunity of a lifetime," Maya said slowly. "And I'm thinking it's going to blow up everything we've built here. You could decline the merger, or I can negotiate. Long-distance leadership, frequent travel back to Chicago." Maya rubbed her temples. "But is that fair to the children? Constant travel? Split time between coasts? What does your gut say?" Maya looked at the photos on her desk. Lily, James, and Ryan at their first birthday party, covered in cake and laughing. They were her world, but they were also her reason to build something bigger. My gut says I should talk to Daniel. The conversation happened 2 days later at a coffee shop, neutral territory. Daniel arrived on time, looking nervous. Thanks for meeting me, Maya said. I need to discuss something important. She explained the merger offer, the San Francisco move, the implications. Daniel's face went through several expressions: shock, anger, fear, and finally, resignation. You're going to take them away, he said quietly. I haven't decided anything yet, Maya replied. But this is a massive opportunity for Chin Technologies. For their future. What about my future with them? I've been working so hard, Maya. I've changed. You've seen it. I have seen it, she acknowledged. Which is why I'm telling you instead of just filing relocation paperwork. Daniel, I need to know, if I take this deal, will you fight me? Will you make this ugly? He was quiet for a long moment, staring into his coffee. A year ago, he admitted, I would have hired the best lawyers, fought tooth and nail, made your life hell. But that was when I was trying to win. Now I'm trying to be a father. So what does that mean? It means... Daniel took a deep breath. It means I don't want to hold you back. Or hold them back. If this move is best for their future, I won't fight it. Maya stared at him, searching for deception. She found only sadness. But I'm asking you, Daniel continued, please don't cut me out completely. Let me visit. Let me FaceTime. Let me still be part of their lives, even long distance. You'd agree to that? No custody battle? No legal fight. I'd agree to whatever keeps me in their lives, Daniel said simply. I've lost enough, Maya. I don't want to lose them too. Maya felt something shift in her chest. Not forgiveness exactly, but understanding. I'll think about it, she said. I need to consider what's best for them, not just for the company. Over the next week, Maya wrestled with the decision. She called her board, her lawyers, her trusted advisors. She spent hours watching her children play, trying to imagine them in a new city, a new life. Finally, she made her choice. She called a meeting with Sterling Global's CEO, Victoria Chun, no relation, despite the shared last name. I've reviewed your offer, Maya said via video conference. And I have a counter-proposal. Victoria leaned forward, interested. We're listening. I'll agree to the merger, but I want to restructure the leadership model. I'll serve as executive chair, based in Chicago, with quarterly trips to San Francisco. You can appoint a day-to-day CEO in San Francisco who reports to me. I'll maintain strategic control while delegating operational oversight. That's unconventional, Victoria said slowly. So is a woman under 30 merging a company worth $100 million into your $5 billion empire, Maya replied. I'm offering you my technology, my innovation, and my strategic vision. But I'm keeping my family's stability. Take it or leave it. Victoria smiled. You drive a hard bargain. I'll learn from the best, Maya said, thinking of her late uncle. Done. We'll draft the revised terms. When Maya told Daniel about the decision, he actually looked relieved. You're staying in Chicago? With modifications. I'll travel more. But the triplets need stability, and honestly, so do I. This city is their home. Thank you, Daniel said quietly, for considering them, for considering me. Don't thank me yet, Maya warned. This means you need to step up even more. I'll be traveling quarterly. I'll need reliable co-parenting. Can you handle that? Yes, he said without hesitation. I can handle it. 3 months later, the merger was finalized. Chin Technologies became a wholly owned subsidiary of Sterling Global, with Maya as executive chair earning a seat on Sterling's board of directors. Her net worth jumped to over $300 million. But more importantly, her children remained in their Chicago home, attended the same daycare, and maintained their relationship with both parents. The night the merger was announced, Maya stood on her penthouse balcony, looking out at the city that had witnessed her transformation. From the broken woman signing divorce papers to the CEO merging with a tech giant. Her phone rang. An unknown number. Hello, Maya? It's Sarah. Maya was silent, surprised. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, Sarah continued. But I saw the news about the merger. I wanted to say congratulations. And I wanted to apologize. For what? For everything. For being part of what hurt you. For judging you when I didn't know your story. You're remarkable, Maya. You took everything Daniel and I threw at you and turned it into something incredible. Thank you, Maya said, unsure how to respond. And for what it's worth, Daniel talks about you differently now. With respect, with regret. I think you actually changed him. After Sarah hung up, Maya sat with those words. Had she changed Daniel? Or had consequences simply caught up with him? Maybe it didn't matter. What mattered was that her children had two parents who were trying their best. What mattered was that she'd built an empire without sacrificing her integrity. What mattered was that the woman who'd been called worthless was now worth more than the man who'd said it could ever imagine. Inside, she heard the triplets laughing with their nanny. Lily's squeals, James's giggles, Ryan's belly laughs. That sound, more than any business deal or revenge scheme, was her greatest victory. 3 years after the divorce, Maya stood in the Chun Technologies headquarters lobby, waiting for a very important meeting. The company had tripled in size under Sterling Global's backing. The consumer security division she'd launched was now a market leader, and Maya herself had been featured on the cover of Forbes as one of the top 30 under 30 entrepreneurs. But today wasn't about business. Today, Lily, James, and Ryan were starting preschool. Maya had spent the morning getting them ready, taking pictures, wiping tears, mostly her own, and watching them excitedly put on their little backpacks. Daniel had joined them, both parents standing together to drop off their children for this milestone. It had been awkward, but it had been civil. And most importantly, the children had been happy. Now, as Maya reviewed quarterly reports, her mind kept drifting to those three little faces. How had they grown so fast? Lily was already reading simple words. James could solve puzzles meant for kids twice his age. And Ryan was the social butterfly who made friends with everyone. They were perfect, and they were hers. Ms. Lee, Jennifer interrupted her thoughts. Your 2 p.m. is here. Maya looked up. Send them in. The conference room door opened, and Daniel walked in. He'd requested this meeting a week ago, saying it was important, but refusing to elaborate. Thanks for seeing me, he said, sitting down across from her. You sounded serious. Is everything okay with the kids? The kids are great. This is about something else. Daniel pulled out a folder. I want to show you something. Maya opened it. Inside were documents for a new company, Ross Education Technologies. The business plan outlined an app designed to help children with learning disabilities using adaptive AI to create personalized education paths. I started this 6 months ago, Daniel explained, after watching James struggle with some things the other kids found easy. I realized there wasn't good technology to help kids like him. So I built it. Maya scanned the documents, impressed despite herself. This is actually brilliant. I wanted to ask if Chin Technologies would consider investing. Not as a favor to me, but because I think this could help millions of kids. Maya studied him carefully. The desperate, angry man from 3 years ago was gone. In his place was someone humbler, someone who'd learned from his mistakes. I'll have my team review it, she said finally. If the numbers make sense, we'll talk investment terms. Thank you. Daniel paused. Maya, I know I can never undo what I did. The way I treated you, the things I said. But I want you to know, you were never the problem. I was. And those 3 kids? They're the best things that ever happened to me. Even if I had to lose everything to figure that out. You didn't have to lose everything, Maya said quietly. You chose to throw it away. There's a difference. I know. And I'll spend the rest of my life making up for that choice. After Daniel left, Maya sat alone in the conference room. She thought about the woman she'd been 3 years ago. Broken, desperate, believing she was worthless because one man said she was. That woman was gone. In her place was someone stronger. Someone who'd taken betrayal and turned it into triumph. Someone who'd built an empire not out of revenge, but out of resilience. Her phone buzzed. A text from the preschool. Pick up at 3 p.m. The triplets had a wonderful first day. Maya smiled. The best revenge she'd learned wasn't destruction. It was living well, building well, loving well. That evening, she picked up 3 exhausted but excited children who couldn't stop talking about their first day of school. They told her about their teachers, their new friends, the playground, the snacks. Did Daddy come too? Lily asked as Maya buckled her into her car seat. He'll come tomorrow, Maya said. We'll take turns, so you get to see both of us. Okay, Lily said cheerfully, already distracted by her brother making faces. At home, Maya made dinner while the triplets played with their toys. She watched them through the kitchen doorway. These three miracles who'd changed everything. Her phone rang. Victoria Chun from Sterling Global. Maya, I want to give you a heads up. The board is proposing you for CEO of Sterling Global. Robert's retiring next year, and they want you to take over. Maya's heart raced. CEO of a $5 billion company. It was everything she'd never dared to dream. That's incredible, she managed. You've earned it. Think about it. We'll talk details next month. After hanging up, Maya looked around her penthouse. The home she'd built, the life she'd created, the children she'd protected. CEO of Sterling Global would mean more travel, more responsibility, more everything. But it would also mean securing her children's futures beyond anything she could imagine. It would mean proving that the woman who'd been discarded was now leading one of the most powerful tech companies in the world. That night, after the triplets were asleep, Maya stood on her balcony one last time, looking out at Chicago, the city where she'd been broken, the city where she'd rebuilt herself, the city where she'd learned that power wasn't about revenge. It was about refusing to let anyone else define your worth. Her phone buzzed. A message from Daniel. Thanks for considering the investment. And thanks for being a better person than I ever was. The kids are lucky to have you. Maya smiled faintly. They were lucky to have each other. All of them. Even Daniel, flawed as he was, had become a decent father. She thought about responding, then decided not to. Some things didn't need words. Instead, she looked up at the stars above Chicago, thinking about the journey from that rainy night with divorce papers to this moment. CEO, mother, survivor, thriver. The storm had passed long ago, but its lessons remained. Never let anyone tell you you're worthless. Never let betrayal break you. Never stop fighting for what matters. And most importantly, the best revenge is living a life so full, so rich, so meaningful that those who hurt you become footnotes in your success story. Maya Lee walked back inside, past her children's rooms where three perfect souls slept peacefully, into her office where tomorrow's opportunities waited. She had an empire to run. She had children to raise. She had a life to live. And she was just getting started. The end. Loudly crying face, loudly crying face, loudly crying face. We've reached the end of Maya's incredible journey from betrayal to triumph. If this story touched you, inspired you, or made you believe in second chances, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Share this story with anyone who needs to hear that they're stronger than they know. Drop a comment telling me your favorite moment from this 10-chapter journey. Thank you for being here from the beginning. Remember, you're not defined by who leaves you. You're defined by how you rise after they're gone. Stay strong, stay blessed, and I'll see you in the next story. Red Heart Crown. Bonus, Maya's epilogue, 5 years later. 5 years after the divorce, Maya Lee stood at a podium addressing thousands at the Tech Women's Summit in San Francisco. As CEO of Sterling Global, she transformed the company into a leader in ethical technology and cybersecurity. Behind her, a screen showed Chun Technologies' consumer division, which now provided affordable security to millions of families worldwide. Daniel's education app, backed by Chun Technologies, was being used in schools across 30 countries. But the image that made her smile was the one she'd chosen for the final slide. Lily, James, and Ryan at age 8, standing together at a science fair, where James had won first place for his robotics project. When I was at my lowest point, Maya said to the audience, I thought my life was over. I thought being divorced and alone meant I'd failed. But what I learned is that sometimes the end of one story is just the beginning of something greater. The audience erupted in applause. After the speech, Maya returned to her hotel room, where the triplets were video calling from Chicago, excited to tell her about their day. Daniel appeared in the background, picking up toys, fully integrated into their evening routine. It wasn't the life she'd imagined at 25, but it was better than anything she could have dreamed. As she hung up and prepared for bed, Maya caught her reflection in the hotel mirror. The same mirror that, years ago, had shown her a broken woman covered in red wine. Now it showed a CEO, a mother, a woman who'd rewritten her own story. And somewhere in Chicago, in the apartment where she'd once signed divorce papers, a new family was living, building their own dreams, writing their own stories. Life moved on, pain faded, and those who tried to destroy her had become nothing more than cautionary tales in her journey. Maya Lee turned off the light and smiled in the darkness. The storm was over, and she was finally home, the absolute end. Thank you for reading Journey. If you made it this far, you're the real MVP. Subscribe for more inspiring stories like this one. What story should I tell next? Drop your suggestions in the comments. Until next time, remember, your comeback is always stronger than your setback. Flex biceps sparkles.